The metal gates opened with a loud hiss. Smoke rolled out across the ground, hiding the bloodstains that had dried into the floor over years of battles. All around the giant arena, thousands of aliens screamed from the stance claws in the air, eyes glowing, teeth sharp with hunger for violence. In the center of it all stood one body, still broken, armor crushed into the chest. The last fighter, dead. The screens above the arena blinked red. Match ended. Champion wins. Next. Something was wrong. No one stepped forward. Every cycle, the Arena of 1,000 Worlds hosted the Galactic Trials. It was the biggest tournament in the galaxy. Every species sent their strongest warriors to fight. Ever one ruled trade, power, and laws for the next 100 years. This year, the final round had ended early. The champion Goran, the Unshattered, had killed his opponent in under 10 seconds. A new record. He stood tall in the arena, arms crossed, not even breathing hard. His armor was black and cracked like lava. His eyes burned like two small suns. And now he spoke. I claim my prize. The arena grew quiet. I choose the humans. Silence. Then shouts, chaos, screams. Humans aren't allowed to compete. One alien judge yelled from the stand. They are not ranked, shouted another. They were banned. But Goran simply smiled. You said they could not compete. You never said they could not be claimed. Back on Earth, every screen went dark for a second. Then a message appeared. Humanity has been chosen. People stared in shock. Some laughed, some didn't. Inside a hidden Earth station orbiting. Saturn, a quiet room filled with generals, scientists, and leaders, all looked at one another. Then the human ambassador stood up. He adjusted his jacket, stepped toward the camera, and gave only 2 words. We decline. The message was sent. Instantly, back in the arena, the reply arrived like a bullet. Goran read it on his wrist device. His face didn't change, but his voice dropped low. They refuse me? The crowd was stunned.
Ow.
No species had ever rejected a champion's claim. For thousands of years, when the champion chose, the chosen, became a prize servants, allies, or property. But never had someone said no. The judges began whispering. Lights blinked. Rules were reviewed. Then a decision was made. If humanity rejects the champion's claim, said one of the high judges, they must earn their freedom. One test. One challenge. If they survive, they stay free. If not, they are taken. What challenge do you offer them? Asked Goran, still staring at the sky. The judge pressed a button. A hologram appeared, bright, burning, deadly. It showed a prison orbiting 7 stars, swirling place of heat, darkness, broken gravity, and death. Send them to the prison. Of suns, the judge said. Let them last 1 cycle. If they survive, they are free. Goran gave a small laugh. They won't last a day. Back on Earth, the message arrived. Everyone in the command room stared at the screen. No one moved. Then the ambassador turned. Send the team. Which team? The general asked. The one we trained in silence. The one built for things like this. And far below the surface of the moon, a chamber opened. 5 humans stood in silence, calm, ready. The smallest one smiled. So, we're finally going in.
Ow.
Lights turned red, engines hummed. Humanity had just been thrown into the greatest game in the galaxy, but no one, not even the champion, understood. What Earth truly was, it was never just a planet. It was a test. The arena was still buzzing days after. Earth refused the claim. Across thousands of planets, beings of all kinds argued, laughed, or raged over the human's answer. Who says no to the champion? Barked one 3-eyed merchant in a crowded spaceport. They must be mad. Others whispered in shadows. Did you see how calm they were? No fear. No hesitation. On Goran's homeworld, statues of him were draped in gold, but even his own people looked uneasy now. No species had ever dared to turn down a claim, not because they couldn't, But because the cost was always too high, Goran stood inside his warship silent. His fists were clenched. Round him his advisors waited carefully. They embarrassed. One said they mocked the rules. But Goran wasn't angry. Not yet. He was curious. Why would ants step on a boot? I asked softly. Unless they believe they're not ants. High above Earth, the human ambassador once again appeared on a galactic stream. Billions watched. His face was calm, voice steady. We do not belong to anyone, he said. We did not come to play your game, but if you insist, we will finish it. The words were like fire to some and ice to others. Some laughed. Others stared. One small planet even held a public vote cheer. Or fear the humans, and the challenge began. The 5 humans were already inside the dropship. It was dark and silent. Only the soft hum of power keeping the air alive. No windows, no countdown. Just a red light over the door that meant, wait. Each of them sat alone, strapped to their seats, eyes closed or staring straight ahead. Above them, a satellite broadcasted the entry. Subject, Human Team 1. Destination, Prison of Suns. Objective, survive 1 cycle. The feed was live. Every second was watched by billions. The Prison of Suns was not a building. It was a systema cluster of stars wrapped in broken gravity fields, with dead moons, floating traps, and wild creatures that had adapted to pure madness. No species had ever lasted longer than a few hours, and no one had ever returned. Humans were given no map, no warnings, no gear other than what was strapped to them. Just one sentence repeated inside their minds as they dropped into darkness. Survive, and Earth is free. As the ship fell, heat slammed against the hull. One of the humans, a woman with short black hair, closed her eyes and whispered something. No mic picked up. The others stayed silent. Then, impact dust exploded. The ship skidded across hard ground, half melted by the heat. Sparks danced across their armor. Inside, alarms screamed. But none of them panicked. One by one, they unstrapped themselves.
Hi.
One by one, they stood. They stepped out into a world of burning skies and dead silence. There were no signs, no roads, no welcome. It's just chaos. One of them, the youngest, knelt and touched the ground. Dry, but not dead, he said. Someone's been here before us. Another pointed toward the mountains. Shadow moved. They weren't alone, back in the arena. Goran watched every second. He leaned forward. They walk like soldiers, he said quietly. But their eyes belonged to something else. The feed cut for 5 seconds. When it returned, one of the humans had vanished. No screams, no noise, just for left. And one blinking signal in the sky. Challenge begun. Earth had refused the champion's prize. Now they would have to survive as punishment. The sky above the Prison of Suns was a violent swirl of red and gold. Massive solar flares leaped from nearby stars, painting the horizon with fire. The ground trembled now and then, like the planet itself was trying to shake them off. The 4 remaining humans moved in silence, their boots crunching on black stone that cracked with heat. None of them spoke. There was no time for fear, no space for doubt. Every second here was borrowed. They didn't know what had taken the 5th member. One moment he was walking beside them, the next gone. No scream, no flash, just missing. Only clue was a strange ripple in the air, like something had passed through space without moving it. The team leader, a tall man named Dren, tightened the grip on his weapon. Eyes open, he said, voice low but firm. This place isn't just deadly, it's alive. Back in the arena, the galactic audience watched in silence. The stream of the prison was being broadcast across thousands of planets. Viewers leaned in. The humans weren't like any species they'd seen before. No panic, no arguments, just control. Even after losing one of their own, they didn't stop, didn't cry. They kept moving, like they had already accepted the cost. The humans found shelter beneath the ruins of a broken structure, what looked like the skeleton of an ancient station. half melted by solar winds. Inside, the air was cooler. The walls hummed slightly. His faint energy still lived in the metal. As they entered, the youngest among them, Arlette, stopped. "We're not the first here," she said. Her hand reached out and touched a mark on the wall. It was a deep scratch, but not random. A symbol. A warning, Dren nodded. Whoever made this didn't leave by choice. They moved deeper into the ruins. The halls twisted, melted in strange shapes from heat and pressure. Light flickered. In strange colors, then footsteps. Not theirs. They froze. A soft tapping sound echoed down the corridor. Then a whisper, not made by voice but by vibrations, something speaking through the walls. Dren raised his hand. The team went still. Then it came. A creature emerged from the far shadows. It wasn't like anything they had seen before. Tall, thin, skin like burnt glass, with no eyes, only long tendrils reaching forward as if searching for thoughts. It didn't run, it floated, and it was not alone. More shapes moved. Behind it, the humans didn't shoot. They didn't scream. Dren took one step forward and said clearly, "We don't want to fight." The creature paused. Its tendrils stopped moving. A sound filled the corridor deep, low hum that made the walls shake slightly, and then the impossible happened. It turned and floated away. The rest followed. Back in the arena, viewers were stunned. Even the judges were silent. "That species? It kills everything," one of them said. "No one has ever survived contact." But the humans had not only survived, they had been left alone. "Are they being spared?" one alien asked. Another answered coldly, "No, they were judged." The humans rested for 1 hour inside the ruins. While the others guarded, Rilla kept exploring. She found a small hidden door behind a broken panel. Inside, a child, alien, young, curled into a ball. Breathing slow and weak, she didn't scream. She didn't move. Rilla dropped to her knees. "It's okay," she whispered. "You're safe now." The child opened one eye. It glowed faint blue, and she spoke. "They think no one listens," the child said. "But I heard them. I know the truth. Your people were never weak. They were locked out." The others rushed to Rilla's side, stunned by the words. "A child here? Alone? Alive?" "How long have you been here?" Dren asked. The child looked up. "I was born here." She paused, then whispered something that made all of them go still. "The champion cheated. He made sure Earth would never be allowed." The fire outside roared louder. The truth had just changed everything. The wind outside howled, like a dying animal. Solar ash swirled through the sky, dancing between the broken moons and shattered rocks of the prison of suns. Inside the ruined station, 4 humans stood around the alien child. She looked no older than 7 in human years, small and thin. With silver blue skin and wide glowing eyes, her voice was calm. Too calm for someone who had spent her entire life in a place like this. "He made a deal," she said again. "Champion. Goran. He bribed the judges. Earth was never meant to be part of the games. He feared you." None of the humans spoke for a moment. Dren's jaw tightened. Rilla gently held the child's hand. "Why are you still alive?" she asked. The child looked down. "Because I was hidden. My mother died years ago," she told me. "To stay silent, to never be seen. The things in here. They don't kill you if they think you belong. But I don't. I was born here by mistake." The girl pointed to a broken corner of the wall where soft blue lights blinked. "This place was once a lab," she said, "long ago, before it was turned into a prison." They followed her into a deeper chamber. The walls were thick with scorch marks, but some machines still glowed faintly. One screen showed maps, broken maps of the system. Another screen blinked a warning in a language none of them knew, and one panel showed Earth. It was marked with a red X. "They erased your entry," the child whispered. Before the tournament started, Rilla turned to Dren. "She's not lying." "I know," Dren said. "The question is, what do we do with it? Just then, alarms blared. The walls shook. The child grabbed Rila's leg tightly. There. Coming, the hunters. The real ones. Outside, the sky cracked open. Ships descended small, sharp like knives falling from orbit. They weren't from the prison. They were from Goran's own fleet. He had sent his personal hunters. Test. Not to watch. To end them. They want to erase the proof, Dren said, eyes hard. They don't care about the challenge anymore. They just want us gone. The team moved fast. Rila carried the child, while the others gathered weapons and data. Cores. The old lab systems were failing, but one terminal was still alive. It connected to something deeper below the surface. There's a core system, one of the humans said, buried under this station. It's ancient tech from the race that built this place. If we can reach it, we can send a message. Dren finished. To the whole galaxy. It descended into the tunnels beneath the lab. Lights flickered. The air grew hotter. The deeper they went, the older everything felt. Machines that hadn't moved in thousands of years suddenly blinked awake as they passed. At the end of the tunnel was the core, floating sphere of bright silver light held in place by invisible fields. It pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Rila placed the child's hand on it. Nothing happened at first. Then the sphere flared. Images shot across the walls of Earth of the prison, of Goran's secret. Meetings with judges. Voices played in alien tongues, but the meaning was clear. Corruption, lies, fear. The humans uploaded everything they could. Then the station shook again. The hunters had landed. Outside, the ground cracked. The sky burned brighter. A countdown. Started on the core. 10 minutes until meltdown. No time, Dren said. Send it now. With a final press, the data streamed out into the stars, to the arena, to the judges. To the people, billions would see the truth. The team ran as they emerged into the open. One of the hunters fired a bolt that struck the stone beside them. Dust exploded. The child screamed. Then something unexpected happened. One of the alien watchers, hiding in the cliffs, opened fire not at the humans, but at the hunters. Others joined. It had begun. The galaxy wasn't just watching. Anymore, some were choosing sides. The prison of suns had become a battlefield. The ground cracked under heavy boots and laser fire. Alien hunters in dark armor stormed the ruins, firing blindly, trying to erase the last pieces of truth. But it was already too late. The ancient core had sent the message across the galaxy into the heart of the arena of 1,000 worlds. The data could not be deleted. In the grand hall of the arena, thousands of alien leaders watched in silence as images flickered. Across the giant screens, secret meetings. Goran handing over ancient relics to the judges. Human entry files deleted. Earth's name struck from the competition. Gasps filled the air. Whispers followed. Some in anger, some in fear. He cheated, someone said aloud. He feared them before they even arrived, another muttered. In the center of the arena, the judges stood pale and silent.
Ow.
One finally raised his hand. The challenge was meant to test them, he said, voice shaking. But we tried to. Kill them. They survived, another judge added. More than that, a third said. They exposed us. Then a decision was announced. A vote. Every species in the arena would now cast their voice. Should humanity be granted full freedom, or destroyed before they became unstoppable? Back in the prison of suns, the humans had taken cover in a canyon lit by burning light from a distant star. The child clung to Rila's back as they moved through smoke and fire. Behind them, the alien hunters followed like shadows, cold and merciless. One of the humans was hit. He fell without a sound, dragging 2 of the enemy down with him. 3 left now, and still they didn't run. Dren raised his comlink. Any signal? No, it's weak, Rila answered. But something's coming. Something big. A low rumble filled the canyon. Then the sky tore open. Ship appeared, massive and ancient. Its metal body unlike anything seen in the galaxy for thousands of years. It dropped down through the solar clouds like a hammer made of light. Its engines pushed aside the fire. Its weapons hummed quietly. Dren smiled. They got the message. Inside the ship were beings from dozens of worlds, aliens who had seen the truth and made a choice. They weren't fighting for Earth. They were fighting for justice. The ship fired once. A blue wave of energy spread through the canyon. Hunters vanished, erased without a scream. Silence fell. The humans were pulled aboard. Child was taken into a warm chamber, wrapped in soft light. Rila sat beside her, holding her hand. "Is it over?" the girl whispered. Dren looked out the window as stars rushed by. "No," he said. "Now comes the real test." In the arena, the vote was ending. One by one, hands were raised. Some in fear, some in anger, some with respect. The number climbed. Yes to freedom, yes to truth. Then the final hand rose. The vote passed. Humanity was to be granted full rights and protection under the laws of the galaxy. But just as the arena erupted in noise, a message came through. Not from Earth, not from the humans. From Goran. He stood alone on a burning platform, eyes glowing, voice like thunder. "You may give them freedom," he said. "But I take something more." He raised a weapon. A planet, behind him, cracked in two. He had just destroyed a world that supported Earth's vote. "I challenge them again, not in your rules, not in your game. On my world, one battle, one end." He pointed at the camera. "Send your best." The screen went dark, across Earth. Alarms rang. And deep beneath the oceans, something ancient began to wake. Because this time, the humans were not going to fight alone. Goran's message echoed across the stars like a war drum. Worlds went quiet. Entire fleets froze mid-flight. Every species that had watched the trials now held their breath. He had destroyed a planet, not a threat, not a base, but a peaceful world that had simply voted in humanity's favor. It wasn't about war anymore. It was about pride. Goran wasn't defending tradition. He was hiding fear. And now he demanded a final fight. Not in the arena, not by the rules, but on his homeworld. The message was clear. Send your best, or I will come take Earth myself. Earth didn't flinch. Deep beneath the oceans of the Pacific, hidden vault opened, one that had remained sealed since before the first human left the planet. Inside it, machines began to move. Lights came on. Cold air hissed from ancient vents. And a single figure stepped forward from a steel pod, his body wrapped in armor that had never been shown to the galaxy. His name was Callan. He was the one Earth had never revealed. The one they had trained for this exact moment. As Callan walked through the long hallway of the underwater base, generals watched from secure bunkers. Scientists whispered in shock, and satellites tilted to follow him. He wasn't just a soldier. He was something else. Something old. Something hidden. The child from the prison of suns, now safely aboard an allied ship, watched a screen showing Callan's face. She smiled softly. "He's the reason they were afraid," she said. Dren, still bruised and tired from the challenge, stood next to her. "Why didn't Earth send him first?" he asked. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Because Callan wasn't meant to fight in the games. He was meant to end them. On Goran's world, the sky burned orange. Volcanoes rumbled across the horizon. The capital city, carved into black stone, stood like a fortress. It had never been touched by war, until now. Callan arrived alone. No army, no fleet. Just him. He walked through the open gates without resistance. Not a single guard tried to stop him. They all stood still, unsure whether to fear or worship him. At the center of the arena, Goran waited. He stood taller than ever, his body now wrapped in armor made of dark crystal, powered by the stolen energy of dying stars. His sword was a living thing, breathing, growling, hungry for blood. "You finally show your true warrior," Goran said. "Let's see if he can bleed." Callan said nothing. He stepped forward, then it began. The fight was not broadcast. No camera survived long enough to capture more than seconds. The ground shook. Mountains cracked. Storms formed above the battlefield. Goran struck with rage, strength, speed. Callan moved with precision, silence. Purpose? No wasted steps, no fear. They fought for hours, till finally, the city grew quiet, and only one figure stood. Callan. He was bruised, his armor cracked, but he still stood. Goran lay broken beneath the black sun of his own world, his sword shattered, his eyes wide not in pain but in understanding. We're never warriors. He whispered, "You were warnings." Callan looked down at him and said just one word. "Exactly." Then he turned and walked away. Back across the galaxy, Earth's flag was raised in the arena not as a competitor, but as something more. As the new judge, the games were over, so the rules would never be the same. And the last message sent from Earth to the galaxy was simple. We were never too powerful to compete. We were too powerful to risk. The galaxy had tried to chain humanity. Instead, they had freed something far more dangerous. Now, every world would think twice before calling Earth weak again. The stars were quieter now. After Goran's fall, after the duel that shook a world, the galaxy held its breath. There was no cheering in the arena, no celebration, just silence. Every species old and proud, young and rising watched Earth's flag rise above the 1,000 banners of the galactic arena. It was not a symbol of victory, it was a warning. Earth had never been weak, it had been patient. Back in the arena, the ancient judges sat still, their faces pale, their hands folded. Not one dared to speak. Their lies had been burned away by the truth. They had tried to ban humanity. They had tried to offer Earth as a trophy. And in return, they saw a force that didn't ask to rule. It simply ended the game. Callan did not return with fanfare. He did not speak to the cameras, left Goran's world alone, walking into the night, disappearing without a trail. Some said he returned to Earth. Some said he went deeper into space. Others believed he was never meant to stay. He was made for one reason, to finish what others feared to start. The rest of the team, Drenrilla and the child, arrived on Earth weeks later. They stood before a gathering of leaders, scientists and soldiers. Rilla carried the child in her arms. The girl had changed. She no longer trembled. Her voice was stronger, her eyes brighter. "She's not from Earth," Rilla said. "But she chose us, like many others will now." Drin stepped forward and placed a data crystal on the table. "This contains every truth we uncovered," he said. "Every rule broken, every deal made in shadow. If Earth is to take its new place, it must lead with eyes open. The humans didn't want to rule the games, so they ended them. The galactic trials were closed. The arena gates sealed. Earth suggested something different. No more blood sports. No more champions chosen by death. Instead, they proposed a new system based on cooperation, exploration, rebuilding. Many resisted at first, but after what they had seen, few dared to say no. Some species begged for alliances. Others warned of hidden enemies rising in the shadows, jealous of Earth's rise. Earth listened to all of them, and they built something the galaxy had never seen before. Not a throne, a council, and every voice had a seat. But one chair stood higher than the rest, not because it was greater, but because it had chosen not to use force, even when it could. Earth's, the alien child, now named Ayla, became Earth's ambassador to the young species, those without fleets, without power, without a voice. She spoke to them plainly. "You were told to fear the humans," she said. "But the truth is, they feared what we might become together." And across distant moons and deep oceans, on icy planets where no fire ever burned, the name Earth was no longer whispered in fear. It was spoken with respect, because Earth had not conquered the galaxy with ships or fire. It had survived what no one else could. It had uncovered lies, endured death, rejected slavery, and refused power, until power was handed to it by those who saw the truth. In the end, Earth was never meant to be a competitor. It was meant to be the storm they never saw coming. The games were over, and a new era had begun.